payable 2019 levy. Notification of the public comment schedule was included in our business item, and will adopt the preliminary operating budgets and levies in August, and again when we adopt the public comment drafts in October. Notification of the public comment opportunities was also included on the proposed property tax statement. For those here today, this is the final opportunity for the public to address the council before the 2019 budget payable 2019 levies are considered for adoption. The procedure for the public comments will be as followed. Persons will be called to speak in order in which they have registered. Individuals will have 3 minutes, and each designated representative of the group will have 5 minutes. Once all speakers have presented, speakers may request additional time to make further comments. The chair has discretion in limiting or extending testimony by any person. Before receiving public comments, our Chief Financial Officer, Mary Bogie, will update us on changes to the unified budget since adoption of the public comment draft and give us a summary of comments that have been received from the public. So Mary, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've got a couple of things to talk about today, and I can keep my comments pretty short. I'm going to give you a short forecast briefing as well, because motor vehicle sales tax is a very large part of our transportation budget. About 45% of that budget we really care about motor vehicle sales tax in that forecast. And that's one of the changes that we make between the public comment draft and the adopting the budget, is to update it for the November forecast. So we're going to start with that, and as I start with the November forecast, we have to switch our thinking to our state fiscal year cap. So we adopt the budget on a calendar year, but the state forecast is on a state fiscal year. And when we adopt our budget, we convert to calendar year as we adopt it. So this is what our graph looked like last year when I was here with the November forecast, and we were raising all sorts of red flags, as the red shading in there indicates, from the February of 2017 forecast, which we adopted our last year's preliminary and public comment draft, to November when forecast, and December when I was asking to adopt the budget. The forecast had dropped by $111 million over the time spent from state fiscal year 17 out to state fiscal year 2021. So that's a pretty significant gap, about a 5% gap. But also, as you see that trend line, the green line was growing at about 5% rate, and that red line was dropping down at about a 2% rate. So we were rightfully raising some red flags about the impact that was going to have on our transportation budget and how going into the legislative session. So the February forecast came along then, and we did see some improvement in that forecast, about a $30 million improvement. That's the purple shaded area there. So this then is the budget that we adopted our preliminary 2019 and our public comment draft on, is based on that February forecast, which was about a $30 million improvement over the November forecast. You'll also notice just in that very short line there, the actuals, even though they lowered the forecast, that red line, we still came in under budget last year. So we both have a forecast loss, and we had an experience loss last year because our actual receipts came in below the forecast. Remember, when we budget for motor vehicle sales tax in our budget, we budget 95% of the state forecast, plus anything from the previous year that comes in above 95%. So we were short both in the forecast as well as in our actual experience. So the forecast for November of 18 is actually good news. We've again improved the forecast by about $9 million, so about a 1% increase. The trend line has improved a little bit too. It's now about an average of 3.4% now and into the future. So that's a good item for us as well. So the budget that we'll be adopting tonight, or I'm asking you to adopt tonight, reflects this better picture of the November forecast. So back when we adopted the preliminary budget, I showed you this slide, and this slide says that we have a structural balance issue within our transportation budget. And again, this is on a state fiscal year basis. And that structural position looks like that top line across the line there. In the last legislative session, the legislature intervened and helped our financial position by doing a one-time appropriation non-base appropriation, so $70 million that split out between those 2 years. And so that helped our financial position. It doesn't fix our structural position, but it helped our financial position. And then we apply our reserves over our targeted balance in our operating funds to bring our financial position in line, and we could make it all the way through state fiscal year 2021 using our reserves to push out that structural balance issue into the future. And so this is where when we adopted our preliminary budget, this is what our picture looked like that would be going into the legislative session. So now when I take that structural balance from that previous slide and I apply the November 18th forecast, I have a new structural balance position. And so that's in 19, 20, and 21, that's the 9 million, and I've added 22 and 23 to the slide as well. So you can see that we still have a pretty significant structural balance issue. And again, now I apply my available reserves and my, oops, did I go backwards? I did, sorry. So now I'm applying my available reserves that I have above target. We added about $15 million that we're projecting by year end in our transportation funds. So I had 70 million. I'm adding another 15 million to that, about 85 million that I'm able to apply to that structural balance issue to push, be a part of the solution, or at least a temporary fix to that solution, a bridge to a future funding, structural funding solution. So we're adding that. Then in 2018, we actually had experience for motor vehicle sales tax that is above what the forecast was. So we're at about 101% of the forecast. And so that was good news for us as well. Remember, I apply 95, anything above 95%, I get to bring back into the forecast. So anything above 100 is something brand new to me. So you can see there that our financial position has changed as we look at this picture then from where it was when we adopted our public comment draft to now we stand as we adopt our final budget for the council. And then, I did it again. There we go. And then finally, I wanted to show you how that breaks out between our operating funds. And so when I look at that financial position and where we're going to need to go into the legislative session with an ask or with the information for them, this is how it breaks out. Metro Mobility is the largest part of that deficit. Rail operations and bus operations are definitely manageable, at least in 2021. And then as we get into 2022, 2023, we've got a larger issue to resolve. But as we look at our near term, we're looking pretty good from a financial position. We still have a structural issue in our transportation funds. So far, so good.
Member Elkins?
No, just make sure I want to understand that. So basically, we're for 2020, 2021, we're
I always sit over there.
kind of okay, except for Metro Mobility. Is that what I'm interpreting?
That's
correctly?
correct.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions from other members? Or to Mary?
All right.
Great.
And we'll get into our public comments. So much like in previous years, we don't get a lot of public comment. They can contact us by email. They can contact us by phone. We have an actual person that answers the phone when people call. So we have on our website, there's a number of ways that we can take public comment, and just don't get a whole lot. So we got about a handful of comments, about 6 of them, wanting to know about their county taxes, and so we direct them to the county to ask those questions. One person was here tonight who wanted to talk about the valuation of his home. He wanted to know why the value went up by $100,000. This wasn't the right place to address that, and so we instructed him on how to do that, and he decided he didn't want to stay and talk. And then about 6 comments that just kind of question, what does the council do? Why are you here? Why do I have to pay for your services? Those kinds of questions. So that's pretty much the extent of the comment that we got this year on our budget. So changes again that we made from our public comment draft to the budget that I'm asking you to final adopt here today. We talked about the motor vehicle sales tax in 2019. That's a $1.4 million as a result of the forecast, and a $3.8 million as it results to our experience in calendar year 2018. Two other changes that we've made to the budget. For the HRA, we've added $900,000 from general fund reserves to fully use those vouchers. And then we've added another $700,000 from the general fund reserves for additional ADA for our infrastructure. Again, from the general fund reserve. Our general fund reserve, our target is $7 million for the general fund. We're expecting to end the year just a little bit over $12 million. So definitely sufficient room in the general fund reserve to handle these two. So with that, Mr. Chair, the ask is related to our 2019 budget, our 6-year capital program at $7.6 billion, our 2019 operating budget, $1.1 billion, and our payable 2019 property tax levy at $87 million.
Great. Any questions to Mary? If not, we will open the additional public comment period. If there is anyone in the audience or that has been that has signed up, and I do not believe that there is. So I'll look one more time. If there's anyone that wants to make a public comment, they're more than happy. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to? Please come forward. Just come on up here and grab a chair. Yeah, either one. Yeah, thanks for coming. And if you could just state your name, just as part of the public record, and
Yes.
thank you.
My name is Jua, and my property is 1694 Case Avenue East, St. Paul, Minnesota. And today I come in. I would like to talk about my property tax. And I have a little house, so I'm little luck. And today, this year's I can see that my property tax is a little high. So it's 2,034. So $34. So I just concerned about my house a little bit. So I like to talk about that, and I would like to have a little question about that my little properties.
Okay, if I could, I mean, what we're dealing tonight is with just the issues that's on your tax statement regarding the Metropolitan Council. So if you have questions outside of that, we can direct you to those organizations that would probably do a much better job than us. So all we're able to do this evening is listen to you regarding those issues that are listed on your property records that deal with the Metropolitan Council.
Yeah, I called them in the city, and they say that today I can come in here. That's
Sure,
why
right.
That's why I come in here.
No, we're happy to have you.
So what did you say again? Where I can go?
No, I'm saying that if you have issues that on your tax statement that pertain to the Metropolitan Council, there's a line. We're more than happy to, hear those concerns. And if there's something outside of that, outside of the levy, in regards to assessment, you really need to go to the county or a school district or the city itself. Yeah. Member Dorfman?
No, I don't know if there's a staff member who could take a look and explain the different
Okay.
sections so you could
Yeah,
understand
I've been in
what the
a
Met Council contribution.
I've been in this address about 23 or 24 years, and they just go up. So not too much, but this year I can see that it's a lot of over 2,000 for the little house, couple bedroom, and no properties, a single lots, little lot. So the streets, no parking in the street, so only one side parking. So that's why I'm concerned about that.
Well, thank you for your comments. And there's a staff member in the back that might be able to kind of give you a little direction in regards to maybe some outstanding issues that you might want to share with him, but we appreciate your comments.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any others? And thanks again for stopping down and commenting. With that, a motion's in order to accept the business item 2018-307 to adopt the resolution 2018-21 through 26 that adopts the council's 2019 unified budget and 2018 payable 2019 property tax levies. So that
Move
would
approval.
be there's a recommendation, a motion, and a second. Any comments or questions? This is a roll call vote, unless there's additional comments or questions. If not, we'll
Mr.
take a
Chair.
roll call. Go ahead.
I just want to say, I mean, I'm beginning to get my arms around this now that I'm leaving, but I wanted to, I wanted to thank Mary and the staff for doing a really nice job this year of sort of walking us through this, so we actually know what we're voting.
Yep. Great. So,
Rodriguez,
Aye.
Schreiber,
Aye.
Munt,
Aye.
Barber,
Aye.
Elkins,
Aye.
Dorfman,
Aye.
Cunningham,
Aye.
Potowski,
Aye.
Reynoso,
Aye.
McCarthy,
Aye.
Rummel,
Aye.
Melander,
aye.
Kramer,
Aye.
Commerce,
Aye.
Chavez,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Motion passes. I believe that's our last order of business, and a motion to adjourn would be in order.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.